Hello and welcome to Monday Manna. I'm your host, Frank Adams. Our topic today is conflict resolution. Conflict resolution can be defined when two or more parties find a peaceful solution. One of the things that we'll learn today is there is a difference between problem solving and conflict resolution. That's very important. There are basically three approaches to conflict resolution. There are those who take the shoot it out approach, which they just kind of have a scorched earth mentality about it. Those who walk out, abandon all effort, breach the relationship, and go on. But thank God there are those who remain and want to work it out. So let's talk today about conflict resolution. Let me make, first of all, some observations about conflict. First of all, conflict is inevitable. It may vary in duration and intensity, but if you are involved in a church or a ministry or a project with people, conflict is inevitable. Conflict is not to be ignored. However, that doesn't mean that all conflict should be immediately confronted, challenged, or corrected. You need to be very cautious. You may just need to allow the person time to process, work through their reactions without any confrontation. Some of us have the personality that we want to confront and correct immediately. When you do that, you can just compound and accelerate the situation. Always wait for God and give the individual time in the privacy of their own heart to make their adjustments to you. And you can't always take their reactions so personal. Here's a third thing. Conflict should be anticipated. Conflict should be anticipated. As we mentioned, it's inevitable. So you need to recognize that in the project that you're working on, you can anticipate that there will be some conflict down the road. And hopefully you've anticipated the areas that may cause differences of opinions or conflict, and you already have resolutions for that. You don't attack the person. You simply provide them with the resources to buy into what is being presented. Conflict resolution can be learned. Not all leaders are born with people skills or conflict and problem solving skills. They have to be learned. There are times when we may be great communicators publicly, but privately we find difficulty communicating and relating to people. Conflict resolution should be approached positively as an opportunity for growth, to build camaraderie, and to provide security to the group that you're leading. The leader is key in conflict resolution. When your constituency views you in conflict and how you resolve and work in those conflicts, and they see you doing that in a proper manner, it contributes to you some great emotional clout and a sense of security among your people. Thank God that conflicts can be resolved. Let's talk about the origins of conflict. Problems and conflicts are not the same. Therein lies the problem. when you try to solve a problem with an individual or individuals who are in conflict, you'll never resolve a problem. You have to exit the problem solving, deal with conflict resolution, resolve the conflict, then return to resolving the problem. Problems and conflicts are not the same. A problem is a difference of opinions about a way or a means or an end of dealing with a certain situation. A conflict is a desperate feeling of threat to one's self-esteem that can lead to desperate acts of self-defense. If you've been leading very long, you'll know that people who are in conflict will burn the building down with themselves in it in order to try to get resolution to their emotional conflict. People can go into conflict over problems, but problems and conflict are two different things. Problems are situational. Conflicts are very personal. Problems exist outside of us and respond to reason. Conflicts are emotions inside of us, and they do not respond to reason. Problems involve other people, where conflict involves me. Problems, as I mentioned, respond to reason, but conflicts deal with emotions and they don't respond to reason. If you really want to frustrate yourself, try to present reason to someone in emotional conflict. Problems will respond to reason. Conflicts deal with emotions. They don't respond to reason. They respond to empathy. Problems may cause stress, but conflict causes distress. And so we need to understand how to deal with those problems. Let's talk about the objective in conflict resolution. Obviously, the main objective of conflict resolution is to resolve the conflict, to move toward the restoration of the relationship, and hopefully a reduction of conflicts in the future. There's several things of what people are looking for in conflict resolution. When somebody comes to you who is in conflict, they're looking for four things. They're looking for recognition. They want you to recognize that they're in conflict. They want you to express a sense of regret for any cause that you might have been to that conflict. They want you to present a way to resolve the situation, and then, of course, they want to return to whatever problem solving you were involved in previously. When the conflict is not with that person, but another person has entered into the situation seeking to bring resolution to conflict, they're looking for understanding. They want you want to give them, want to be supportive to them, not reject them. You want to listen to them without being defensive. You want to provide empathy to them, and you want to be able to show them that you want to resolve this and return to the problem solving. Leadership is essential for the reduction of conflict. Here's 8 things that leaders can bring to the table that will lessen the occasions for conflict. Number 1 is consistency. When the leader has a consistent temperament it tends to not create conflict. When the leader is inconsistent emotionally or in the way that they lead or live, then it will cause conflict. Secondly, communication skills. Unfortunately, not all preachers are good communicators. They may be good preachers, but when it comes to communication with individuals, they may fall short. Thirdly, they want a sense of collaboration in the leader. Rather than the leader doing everything unilaterally and all the decision making comes from that individual source, they're wanting some collaboration, that you're open and willing to receive input from other people. A lack of collaboration cripples any team or any organization that you're working with. They want to know that we're working together, not working for you. Fourth, they want to see that you have the capacity for compromise whenever possible. And they want the recognition that the leaders knows how to confront people in situations, that they're cautious and careful to maintain the self-worth and the dignity of the individual. And once they see that you can preserve that and at the same time bring correction, then they begin to feel safe. One thing you need to remember: pastoral confrontation is always extremely personal. I believe the best kind of pressure is not pastoral pressure, but peer pressure. Use individuals within the team to bring correction. And one of the things that you want to do is to avoid criticizing too publicly, but also demonstrate your willingness not only to criticize, but also to receive criticism. I always said to the people that I led, I am open to your criticism, your suggestions, your input. I just add two caveats with that. The caveat is for you to be sensitive to the timing. Number one, the best timing to share something with me is not before or following a public worship service. So be sensitive to the timing. Secondly, and as important as the first, is the attitude by which you approach me. And when we do those things and reciprocate those things, then we are moving toward proper conflict resolution. Number 7, be confirming and supportive even in your confrontation. I remember an associate of mine one time, we had a staff meeting. He went home for lunch, and his wife asked him, how did the staff meeting go? He said, well, I think I was in trouble, but I came away really feeling good about myself. So that's the way, whenever possible, that it should be. Be confirming and supportive, and you can resolve conflict. Number 8 is credibility. Credibility builds emotional assets with a leader. Anytime you're going to lead people, you're going to have to make some emotional withdrawals for their support. Once you make those emotional withdrawals, then you have to build up those emotional assets before you make a withdrawal again. Don't try to move people when they are emotionally destitute. Build up the assets. I hope these thoughts and observations are helpful to you in any future or present conflict that you might be going through. Just remember, you're the leader. You set the tone. You set the way that it's going to happen. God bless you. I'm Frank Adams. Glad to be with you today.